There we go. What is up, everybody? Solomon here. Super excited to be with Genfinity. And we've got another XDC show. Long time no see for Benny here, but Benny is the head of growth within the XDC network. Full disclosure here, this interview is sponsored by the XDC Foundation, so not financial advice, but really excited to dive deep into the weeds because over the past couple of months here, the XDC ecosystem has really ramped up, whether it be from acquisitions to native USDC to a $10 million Surge Liquidity Program. We're going to be tackling all of that today. So I hope you guys all enjoy it. So let's start with this headline, Benny, and welcome back. This Surge program that was just announced, tell us a little bit about what this represents for the ecosystem. And I was telling you before, you probably do as many podcasts as I do now. I always see you doing podcasts. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you for inviting us for this podcast, amazing podcast. So we're gonna today talk more about XDC Surge program and the overall DeFi landscape of XDC, and a little bit we're gonna add more spices on top of the stablecoins and RWA landscape that we are targeting at XDC. But before I start, so like Solomon mentioned, I'm head of growth and responsible for XDC DeFi ecosystem. It's been an amazing journey working on this segment at XDC. We started about 6 or 9 months ago with an amazing team to enabling DeFi on XDC network. And as we move forward, we got a lot of integrations of the different DeFi protocols into our ecosystem, and we got a bunch of decentralized DEXs and a few other projects that are helping us to basically hosting the liquidity, getting like a stablecoin USDC deployment on XDC was a major one, and different bridges enabling more interoperability on the network that helping for increasing inflow of liquidity into the network. And then we ended up with XDC Surge program, which is a 10 million incentive program for DeFi, which is going to be with WXDC, wrapped XDC token. And that's really exciting because it's going to be the phase for us to bootstrap liquidity. Right now, the XDC Surge program is divided and categorized into the different epochs. So we are right now at epoch 1, third week of the Surge program. Epoch 1 that we are distributing incentives through XDC Hub, which is a hub for XDC network. You can track and engage with the different pools and selected pools that we have on Care Finance, XSwap, and Okuda.Trade. And basically, it's going to be between, it started in October 30th, and it's going to end in December 25. And this is, Epoch 1 is going to be 1.25 million incentives in WXDC, which is going to be distributed on daily basis. So one of the things that we would like to differentiate with the other incentives programs of the other chains and other ecosystems. So we are giving all the incentives liquid, first of all, and it's going to be distributed with no lockups on daily basis. So you are earning basically on daily basis and enjoying the rewards and enjoying the juicy rewards, by the way. So because if you do some calculation and you run some of the numbers, you will end up with like 20 or 25% APY if you deposit into the selected pools that we have. So I would like to highlight here is the APY is a variable APY, right? So as long as the deposits are coming, the APY is decreasing, right? So it really depends. It's like a race. Whoever comes first takes the most yield on the network. So basically, it creates a network effect for a lot of people, a lot of communities to bringing their friends and bringing their own DeFi Degens community to the XDC ecosystem to get experience how XDC is going to be look like in DeFi and be one of the early network participants in the DeFi when it comes to the depositing liquidity and stable coins or other asset classes that we have. Yeah, I would like to also mention that the asset classes that we are selected for these three DEX venues that we have are XDC, USDC, CGO, and SCRV USD, which is coming from Care Finance community, which is a yield-bearing asset. We are going to expand more in the upcoming weeks with other asset classes as well. So if you go to DeFi Llama, you will see the XDC Surge program has already affected on the TVL of XDC, which is like 3 to 4% growth for XDC TVL. And if you look at it carefully on the DeFi Llama and you put the XDC price chart, you will see that there is no correlation between the price and the TVL. So this is a positive point that I would like to mention here, because it's basically showing that the inflow TVL of XDC is growing. So a lot of chains, for example, you go deposit ETH or, for example, XDC, BTC, and other asset classes. And because of the volatility of those asset classes, the TVL goes up and down, right? And if you come here, you will see that the inflow of liquidity to XDC TVL has increased regardless of the price of XDC. So this is a positive point, and which shows the early success of the Surge program on XDC network. And if you scroll down on the XDC DeFi Llama page, you will see the Curve, XSwap, and Uniswap pools has increased a lot in terms of their TVL and the deposited assets. And right now, the leading DEX on XDC is Care Finance, which is like have 5.1 million in terms of liquidity into the pools, which basically thanks to the XDC Surge program. And yeah, we are going to continue this more, and we are going to have more epochs down the line to introducing new money markets, lending protocols with the new asset classes, and introducing new RWA asset classes, which has been one of the major focus of XDC. Basically, we can have some interconnectivity to trade finance and private credit, and all these RWA asset classes already live in crypto in general. We have, like you mentioned earlier, with the acquisition of Contour and such platforms, like we did an investment in Casu Finance for tranching the yield and private credit, stuff like that. So we are very optimistic on that landscape in terms of tokenization and offering more stablecoin yield and a stabilizing yield for the entire crypto. So yeah, I covered a lot, but I would like to know if there is any follow-up things I need to highlight more, and I can expand further.
Well, hey, I'm going to invite you back every time, Benny, because you make my job way easier. So much to talk about. One thing I think of note, can you maybe just talk about, how many epochs are there going to be? I know we're at epoch 1 right now. Are there multiple epochs? How long does the program last for? Things like that. Where can people go to learn more? And then we'll get into some USDC stuff, because this all ties in.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, Surge program is like a very long-term plan for XDC network to bootstrap liquidity. And we don't have any specific right now agenda to mention publicly because we are under the planning and depending on some other factors to be done first, and then we can announce it publicly. So for right now, we have Epoch 1, and it's going to be several other epochs that are focusing in a mixture of RWA asset classes, DEXs, and lending pools, and the vault infrastructures, right? So those asset classes and infrastructure would be selected by us. We do a lot of due diligence and defining the strategies. What would be the best strategy in order to achieve the highest yield on the network? So basically, we need to do a lot of back and forth with the projects and builders and the LPs that we have to finding the best way for finding the best venues and defining the right strategies, which has the lowest counterparty risk and the other risk that we have in general in DeFi. Like we've seen, unfortunately, Balancer hacked last week, and a lot of chaos happened on Morpho and the other platforms. So we would like to have a safe DeFi and low risk DeFi on XDC, thanks to the RWA asset classes and also money markets that are coming up later on. It would be potentially Q1 next year.
Well, I know that we just interviewed the Curve guys alongside XDC, and that's one of kind of the major integrations recently. And for me, it's interesting because a lot of different things seemed to happen at once, and it almost seems intentional. So native USDC just came within the past, let's say month or so, actually launched, and that's like within there's only like less than 20 ecosystems that even have native USDC. So huge shout out to you guys there. This is right along the same time that we did the Curve interview, and the guy from Curve was even talking about how important it is to have native USDC on chain. It really opens up a lot of things from an institutional level. This is right at the same time as this kind of Surge program. So I guess let's get into native USDC a little bit. How important is native USDC on the XDC network? How does it tie into all the goals and your kind of role of kind of ecosystem growth, DeFi growth and expansion?
Yeah, I would like to flashback a little bit into the history of DeFi and why and the times that DeFi got the actual traction back in like 2017 and onwards. So one of the major things I think that really impacted DeFi is it was a stablecoin, right? Since the beginning. So with the surge of like MakerDAO, DAI token, and USDT, and introduction of the USDC into the DeFi as a new asset class for representing like USD on chain, and that really helps to create markets and increasing liquidity for the DeFi. Because, for example, with the Genius Act that came into the US, and a lot of countries right now are following that to get their own stablecoin. Like fiat-backed stablecoin can be pound, like euro, or like we did in Australia, AUDD. It's one of our ecosystem partners that are having AUD a stablecoin on chain on XDC and a few other chains. So basically, USDC is a very major stablecoin right now in crypto, and it really helps to increasing liquidity for the DeFi, right? Because a lot of LPs, a lot of minters of USDC stablecoins are working with USDT and USDC, right? So we got a lot of attention from our LPs that are holding that particular asset. And another fact is it's fully compliant, and you know what Circle does already in the market, right? But the effect in our ecosystem, it has a steady growth on our ecosystem. It started from 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, and now if you go to USDC.cool and you just look at the Circle USDC supply on XDC network, you will end up with 30 million supply on basically 30 million mint of USDC on the network, which is quite fantastic for us, because all of it is organic. It's coming from the communities, and a lot of them coming from for the Surge program, because a lot of DeFi LPs and DeFi degens and basically the liquidity providers holding that particular asset, and a few of our pools, like 4 or 5 of the pools that we have, they have a pair with USDC. So it would be easier for them to withdraw from the exchanges or bridge it from other chains to our chain, and basically helping into the Surge programs selected pools. And I would like to highlight that maybe it's not very well covered on social media. If you go to KuCoin and Mexi and other crypto exchanges, you will end up with 0 withdrawal of USDC on XDC network. So if you compare with other networks on Ethereum, you need to pay $5 or 50 cents on other chains, like $1. It's like the range. But right now we enable the rails for the retail communities that they can withdraw at zero cost to XDC network and start earning the juicy rewards. And that's really fascinating for me myself as a community member into the XDC ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to you guys. It's always interesting checking out kind of the growth of native USDC on these networks. And one thing that sticks out, and I know that this is all recent, but sitting there above XRPO, and I think Ink is Kraken's.
Yep.
The Kraken's layer 2 that's built on Optimism. I know Plume is a straight up RWA chain. So it is, it's awesome to see the growth so far, and let's crack 50 million and crack 100 million in the near future, because it seems like things are headed that way. I think even if I zoom out a little bit outside of stablecoins, because we know how big that is, all this stuff seems to tie in together a little bit. You guys also recently had the Contour acquisition. I know that you guys have been building relationships with enterprises and institutions for real world adoption in multiple industries. What types of things do, and as you mentioned, like USDC growing in liquidity of the network, what types of things does this kind of open up at the institutional and the enterprise level with all the stuff that you guys are doing, having native USDC on chain and growing that liquidity and having more options for users and clients?
Sure. So we've got a lot of experience working with enterprises like SBI Group and Telecom and other ecosystems, and also enterprises, and basically with the banks and their venture arm, that we are doing a lot of collaboration with them. So there are a couple of things that we are focusing right now, like you mentioned, for the Contour acquisition. So it's really helping for, like, if you flash back to all the trade finance activities that we've done so far, Contour playing a major role right now for us down the road for basically tokenization of different letter of credit and different financial trade finance related documents that is being used by the major banks, right? So that is really exciting for me, that some of the banks like Standard Chartered, HSBC, or Citibank are already a client of the Contour, and we already acquired Contour, right? So that really helps us to basically, there are two steps in my opinion to at the macro level to enable trade finance on chain. One is the digitization of the trade documents and paperless infrastructure that can be come into on chain and represent all those documents. And the second one is the finance part, which can be settlement layer, which is XDC, for all these trades happening that are going to be happening on chain, right? So Contour majorly plays on the digitization part and basically onboarding more trade documents and helping financing part with the other counterparties that we have, like Castle Finance and the other ecosystem players that we have. And yeah, recently you've seen eToro listing of XDC, so that's also quite exciting in terms of the enterprise expansion.
There was an ETP too, right? An exchange traded product with 21 shares and Europe, I think too, which is pretty awesome to see. I mean, we're seeing more and more, products. I think it's just a testament to how crypto and blockchain and distributed ledger are maturing. Like, I know in the US, everybody's kind of scratching for the spot ETFs right now, and it's like, I know everybody gets really excited about when these things launch, but at the end of the day, like I try to say it all the time, like I believe that like any digital asset or any ecosystem worth its weight in salt, you're going to just naturally see these types of products get released at some point in time, even though, maybe certain ecosystems aren't first or whatever. It doesn't, like, to me, it doesn't matter, because you're going to see them go live anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at, for example, the start of the DATCOs and starting the expansion of the chains into New York and Wall Street, basically. So you saw it started by Bitcoin, by MicroStrategy, followed by Bitmine and other Ethereum ecosystem DATCO companies. And you've seen that XDC has also expanded in the US aggressively. We are hosting a lot of events, meeting the top players in Wall Street, to helping them to get on board on the network. So you see a lot of piece of puzzles are around, and if you try to put them together, you will see the roadmap that we are trying to achieve, right? The goals that we are trying to achieve. So that's really it's really important, because basically we need to create a very simple and straightforward infrastructure for the enterprises and in general for the crypto users, that they can operate most of their activities, financial activities on chain. And yeah, recently we've launched XDC Hub.XDC.Network, which is a community hub and engagement hub for XDC network, that we are putting all the Surge programs agenda inside that. And we have XP points and a lot of other initiatives inside that. Yeah, first of all, you need to log in and get into the dashboard, and you will get access to the details of the ecosystem, basically the hub that we built so far. Basically, you can log in with your email, your social accounts, Discord, and X account, while you will be able to connect via your favorite wallet in crypto that supports XDC. So yeah, this is very exciting because we can basically simplify it for the users and the end customers of the network, that they can go into one domain and get access to everything that they should be, right? That they should look at.
I know that you, I mentioned this at the very beginning here. I always see you on podcasts. And I even remember like back, maybe like 7-8 months ago. I forget how long it's been since we've had you on. It's been way too long.
Yeah.
But I just know we'll have to do more of these for sure. I mean, because it's always great catching up with you, because there's just the enthusiasm radiates off of you. But you're always on these podcasts too, and you're the XDC APAC podcast. You're doing pretty consistently, coming right out of the XDC network X account too. So I guess one question I have for you is, when you look at adoption, like in the APAC region or different regions throughout the world, like it seems like everybody's doing the same thing, but everybody's doing it a little bit differently as far as, what types of RWAs or what do enterprises want? What's the comfort level from institutions to onboard? I guess that's the question that I would have for you, is when you're looking at, a different region where you guys are at right now, what are you seeing as far as adoption trends are concerned? What do these enterprises, institutions, what does retail care about in the APAC region? And yeah.
Yep, sure. Yeah, if the audience have not watched this podcast, I really recommend to take a look, because we recorded this with Sony during token 2049 in Singapore, and recently we published it out. So yeah, basically, what I would like to mention is basically mostly in the APAC region is there are a lot of stuff happening in Singapore and Hong Kong in terms of the capital flow and capital management, hedge funds. A lot of different finance-related companies are out there. And also a lot of dev communities are in other APAC countries, like, for example, in Vietnam, Thailand, and different places, like Malaysia, Indonesia, and different places. So I've seen some charts that it was showing the name of this country that are growing in terms of dev community. But apart from that, Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong, and South Korea are, in my opinion, are these four are the major venues for capital flow in crypto. I know there are a lot of restriction on the regulation, some tax uncertainty for the retail customers, and etc. But there are a lot of them. They showed interest to DeFi, and basically they are doing some LPing into the DeFi protocols that already we are in touch with them, and we are in active discussions for the next phases of Surge program and how we can expand the liquidity on the network. And the other fact I would like to mention is XDC's staking. So XDC's native staking is another focus of us, because we would like to increase the economic security of XDC a little bit more. And another major important thing is we would like to have XDC as a main credit asset for the entire network, and also for the entire trade finance whenever happens on chain, right? So this is very important. You can imagine in the scenario that people are holding XDC or depositing into the lending protocols and borrowing stable coins like USDC, maybe in future USDT and other stable coins. And basically with this, they can get credits to funding the real world businesses like in trade finance, or depositing into the private credit pools like vaults. You can deposit USDC and get the share token. And basically that what happens to that USDC, it goes to be funded to a real world business. Either can be it can be the debt instrument basically, and it can be categorized under the RWAs. So you can see XDC can act as a main collateral asset, and the credit asset that people can hold it and earn more, get more exposure to USDC at the low risk scenario, right? So lowering down the risk is very important to onboard like enterprises, because there are a lot of counterparty risk. So you've probably seen on Twitter that a lot of stream finance and that collateral asset impacted a lot of other pools on Morpho and other lending platforms like Silo and others. The important fact is we don't want to stack like creating a long stack of the DeFi strategies, because it would collapse at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we would like to make it very simple, because I believe the power is into designing things in simplest way. So it really helps us to avoid 2008 crashes, but not replicating on the DeFi, right? It's very important to have a very high quality collateral asset that can end up with a better repayment, and also is not collapsing at the end of the day. So it gains more credibility over the time.
Well, walk us out here. I know we've talked about a lot, but it seems, like there is more. It seems like there's a shift from kind of like infrastructure building to activation across a lot of these networks and across kind of the crypto industry as a whole. But looking at everything that's happening with XDC, whether it be Surge, USDC on chain natively, and for those that are interested in those stats, you can go to USDC.cool, or the Contour acquisition, or the analytics partnerships through Token Terminal and more, global events, expansion into the US, exchange traded products, whatever it may be. What do you feel like, because we're ramping the year down here, what do you feel like success would look like in 2026? What are you most excited about moving forward into the end of the year? What are you most proud about? I mean, wherever you want to take it as we kind of ramp down the year here, Benny. And thank you for joining again.
Yeah, sure. Before I answer this question, I would like to highlight TradeFi.Network, which is one of the first apps on XDC ecosystem that I'm putting a little bit of my attention and focus currently nowadays into TradeFi.Network. You can see a brief dashboard about XDC network, what's going on about the numbers, the total number of the RWAs, total number of the staking, basically the traction on the staking. You saw that the first panel about Surge program, and you can see what asset classes has more incentives. If you look into the middle one, USDC and Comtech called CGO. And we are developing this, and we are gonna make it as a center platform for analytics, and basically shows what's happening on the XDC ecosystem. We are going to expand it with more expansions into integrations with the walls and other third-party integrations that basically can offer more more yield products to the user. So Hub, XDC Hub, and TradeFi.Network, it would be they would be the main distribution channels for XDC in terms of engagement, and if anyone wants to do any part of on-chain activities on XDC network. So I'm going back to your question. Sorry, I had to mention.
Well, I'll say real quick. I mean, I think one of the things that is sorely needed in this space is accurate, up-to-date, real, RWA tokenization stats and just kind of network stats in general. So this is really cool. I was not aware of this until you just mentioned it, because I go to certain sites and it's almost like they're like the coin market caps of real world assets. So they're aggregators, but they don't have all of the information, and it's frustrating because I know that certain ecosystems like the XDC network, there's a lot to talk about from a real world asset standpoint, from tokenized real world assets. And I go to some of these sites and I'm like, why aren't these sites updated? And I go here and I get to actually see the real picture of what's going on in the network. So this is awesome. I will 1000% use this. I'll try to showcase this, even if I do a personal video, because I think that stats like this, accurate network stats, are really important. And real quick before you ramp us down here, Hub.XDC.Network as well will be kind of the hub for all up-to-date information on what's going on in the network too. So between TradeFi.Network and Hub.XDC.Network, definitely want to drive the audience there. So yeah, kudos to you. That's awesome to see that. But yeah, closing thoughts. Sorry to interrupt. I thought literally that's good to see.
Yep, interesting. So down the line, we are keep pushing on Surge program. We are having a lot of active conversation with the LPs, DeFi LPs, trying to onboard them and put them in the right spot for the future opportunities of the Surge program that we are going to have. So that's a really great opportunity for the LP. If any LPs that are hearing this podcast, they can feel free to reach out to us. We can definitely have some conversation about the liquidity and the requirements and all this stuff. We can basically plan for the future of the liquidity of XDC network. And yeah, in general, except in the last 2-3 weeks with the balancer hack and the chaos that happens between the lending protocols, I think the overall feeling that I have is DeFi is getting a better spot, improving its own position among the crypto communities and also regulators and also institutional LPs. And if you keep tracking DeFi Llama, you will end up with increasing of the TVL of the overall TVL of the crypto. And for example, for the major lending protocols like Aave and others. So we are having a lot of inflow in general into the system. Unfortunately, except the hacks that happened, that is very painful for the entire ecosystem. But in general, I'm very positive that there are a lot of regulations happening and active discussion and roundtables happening in Washington, D.C. or other places to finding the best ways to make DeFi low risk, right? So this is very important to minimizing the risk and having a sustainable APY and yield for the users and enterprises. A lot of incentive programs after some time, it's going to, like, let's say, because it's inflated on the APY, and it only makes sense to having it like at the earliest stages, like we have like Surge, it's mentioning, it's explaining, right? The word is explaining. And yeah, it's very important for us to have a successful bootstrapping event of TVL. It's going to be continued to Q1 next year as well, with more partners, and partnership is going to be announced very soon. And there is one important update. We are going to have XDC mainnet upgrade as well. It's a minimal upgrade on the network, and after that, I would believe with the changes that are happening, it would impact our DeFi ecosystem as well, because we have resolved some technical. We basically improved a little bit our infrastructure, and can be capable to host a lot of different requests of the to RPCs and the different related things to the DeFi specifically.
Awesome. Well, I want to make sure people certainly go to Genfinity.io. I know we're doing these kind of ecosystem recaps along with a lot of other kind of articles on a monthly basis. And even one of our founders messaged me and he's like, XDC ecosystem's crushing it with all, because he has to compile all of these updates and put them in an article. And he's like, there was a lot of updates. Go to xdc.org to learn more about XDC Network. Go to @XDC Foundation and give the foundation a follow. And thank you to XDC Foundation for sponsoring podcasts like this. Definitely give Benny a follow at 0xbenny on X. The guy's a wealth of knowledge on the XDC ecosystem. And give @XDC Network a follow as well. You guys can check out up-to-date USDC stats on USDC.cool. XDC Network is at $30 million and rapidly climbing of USDC on the network. DeFi Llama, Hub.XDC.Network, and TradeFi.Network as well. Benny, it's always a pleasure having you here. Let's not make it so long until the next one that we do, and hang out with me here for a second to make sure I get this recording. And I hope you have a great rest of the year if I don't talk to you.
Yeah, thanks again for inviting us for this podcast. Yeah, I believe we need to do more with Genfinity and creating more awareness for the community and what's going on the XDC in details, because such conversation helps community to understand where we are going and not staying in the black box, right? So yeah, again, happy to do more, and appreciate for your invite for today's show.
Awesome.